What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Blue River Bow Hunting Podcast, episode 84. Dylan, we've told them a couple times. Summertime. We're probably going to be a few weeks in between some episodes. We're doing a lot of stuff with our families and stuff, and Dylan's getting a lot of his property ready for deer season, that sort of thing. But we're here for episode 84. Dylan, how's the planting going?
It's almost over, and I'm very thankful. This summer heat kicked in, and it's been full blast on us, so it's made it a little bit more miserable than it normally is. But we're knocking it out.
Right. You've definitely been putting more work on that aspect than I have. I don't really have to do anything like that. Most of the places I'm hunting, I mean, I'm surrounded in ag anyways. Putting a food plot in wouldn't probably even really do a whole lot for me. I've tried it before. It's not really something that works out when you're sitting next to a 500-acre cornfield. There's not much you're going to do to pull them out of it,
Yeah, it's we definitely have to work for it as far as that aspect goes, just because we don't have that kind of ag, just sitting
Right.
around. So anytime you can put somewhat of a good sized plot in, it's hard to keep them out of it.
Well, we got linked up with our guest through you, Dylan. I saw you share some stuff of his, and I was like, "Who is this?" And you were telling me, but Brent Coppock, what's going on, man?
Not much. How are y'all?
Good. Excited to have you on. With you starting up, Trail 27 Media. Would like to, kind of talk to you about that and what you kind of had in store for that sort of thing, and kind of get to know you a little bit. For somebody like myself that don't really know you, introduce yourself a little bit.
All right. My name is Brent Coppock, owner and creator of Trail 27 Outdoors. I've hunted all my life and everything. Deer hunted, turkey hunting, waterfowl hunting later in life. Into my teens, really started doing that. I never really filmed hunts or anything like that. I really started filming hunts last year, but it was all with iPhone, stuff like that. And kind of wanted to do the Trail 27 thing. It's the name I come up with. And where am I going with this? Anyways, I want to do the Trail 27 thing. Not really, like a seek one or anything like that. Not trying to get famous or hunt for a living or anything like that. But
Right.
mainly want to do it because, like, my dad and grandpa and stuff, they didn't hunt. And, you talk to some people and they're like, oh, well, here's a picture of my dad and grandpa from back in the day. We were hunting, working on food plots, things like that. And I didn't really have that growing up. I hunted with uncles and cousins and stuff like that. But it wasn't something that was passed down from my grandpa to my dad to me, thing like that. And when I had my little girl, it kind of really just kicked me into overdrive and wanting to do something like that, mainly just to document everything. Maybe one day down the road, she could come back and look at it, or maybe my grandkids one day down the road might be able to go back and look at some of my hunts or some of the things we've done in the past, and just kind of going that way with it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. What I think a lot of people have that kind of mindset, like they want to do something, but like some people, they skip that thinking about it stage and they just jump right into it. Is that something that you did? It's just like, all right, this is what it's going to be. I'm jumping into it.
I didn't really like have a long thought out process from years to come. Like, oh, this is something I wanted to do because I've always watched the Seek One guys, and I might refer to them just because that's who I watch sometimes. And it wasn't really like, oh, I'm going to do this. I want to make hunting videos, stuff like that. I mean, I watched, Bone Collector, Michael Waddell growing up, things like that. And, everybody that hunts thinks it'd be cool to have a hunting show or hunt for a living, things like that. But I was more of the sentimental value of it, I guess you could say, wanting to pass it down and have something because I didn't have that growing up to where I could be like, oh, this is my, I could show people this is a picture of my grandpa hunting, things like that. And, yeah, I kind of just fell into it. Like I said, I started videoing my hunts last year and went, started Trail 27, went full steam with it, got me a camera, stuff like that. So and I always like, I don't know, I guess you say I like a good view. I always might take a picture of a sunset or a food plot or a deer. I've got thousands of pictures of my phone. So I kind of, got me a camera, wanted to get in that aspect of it and start dabbling into it. So I started it and we'll see where it goes.
What kind of camera did you end up going with?
I just got a basic Canon Rebel T7 to start out with, just to make sure I was going to stick with it before I spent thousands of dollars on the camera and stuff like that. And mainly because I don't know a lot into it, so I'm having to learn as I go and figure out what lens I need and what camera combination. There's a whole another different world to learn that side of it.
Yeah.
So
Just like my buddy Victor that we've had on the show many a times, like he always says, YouTube University. YouTube will help you out tremendously.
That is very true. I've learned a lot off of YouTube or just Google. If you got anything you don't know, just search it up and you'll probably find the answer that you're looking for.
And you go through so many progressions of filming. Just like you said, you got the DSLR. I tried that at first and I didn't like it. I was like, I don't think I'm
Yeah.
going to like this filming thing. So I switched to a camcorder.
Mhm.
I run the Canon XA11 and I love it.
Yeah.
I didn't think I went through enough with the DSLR to really like it. I still have it and I use it to take pictures and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But
And
I prefer running a camcorder.
yeah, and I have I'm probably gonna get into that when I start this year video, and just because focus and zoom stuff like that, and but I'll keep my camera just for photography reasons, taking pictures, stuff like that. But I'm probably gonna get me a camcorder eventually, maybe for this year. So we'll see.
Yeah, and you don't have to go super deep on that. I started off with like a Sony Handycam that somebody
Yeah,
gave
yeah,
to me or whatever, and just kind of got my feet wet and learned to do certain things and learned to edit and that sort of stuff. It's a long road when going through the whole filming thing for sure.
oh yeah, and it adds a whole totally different aspect of it when you're trying to self film your hunt or anything like that. So,
Just
but it's a
having a
challenge.
camera,
Oh
man,
yeah,
just in there, like you have to be cautious of that. Like when he come up to hunt, it was we tried to plan it around the camera almost. Like
hmm
we were like, all right, well, we're gonna do this and we're gonna get it. Like, and it didn't go like that at
No,
all. And
no, it never
so,
goes as planned.
no.
but I see some of your drone stuff, and that's really sick. So, what drone are you running?
This is just the DJI Air 2S E, I think. I've always kind of wanted a drone. Got a cheap one off Amazon, and it is not worth the money. So if you're gonna try to get into it, you might as well go and spend a little bit of money. The one I got, it was only like $300. So I just wanted to same thing, buy it, make sure it's something I want to do before I spend a lot of money on it. And I should have bought one a long time ago. Since I started posting those drone videos, man, I've got conversations left and right. I got guys wanting me to come film for them. One of the guys worked for Whitetail Partners. They do like whitetail land management and consultation, stuff like that. And he's
Yeah.
got a few jobs. He wants me to come do some filming for him. So it's opened up a few doors for me. So we'll see where it goes.
That's what I was getting ready to say. If anything, it create some relationships and some partnerships or whatever. I
Oh
I,
yeah,
I got a cheap drone too. I actually brought it with me to Dylan's and never even got it out. I just haven't had time to really mess with it yet. I
yeah,
want to mess
yeah.
with it and seeing like your stuff that you've been posting. I'm like, man, that's pretty badass.
Oh yeah, it's awesome, and that's why I was like, man, I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to fly this thing. And it's really simple because I was thinking, if I let go of it, it's gonna stay in place. But I've actually got it out of range a few times. Thought it was gonna drop in the water, but it just sits there and hovers until it connects back to it, and then it'll return back to home if the batteries get low. So I mean, it takes some getting used to, and then you got to edit and all that. But that's the usual. But I mean, I like it. So we'll see.
Mhm. Yeah. When last year when you were filming with your phone, did you have some kind of camera arm for the phone, or did you have like the painted arrow thing on your bow? How did you do it?
It was mainly I had I think it was a muddy camera arm. I done most of it with. I'd kind of, and that's the thing, you not be paying attention, and you gotta get your arm over here and get the camera going, stuff like that, and get it focused around while the deer's sitting there looking at you, and then you're trying to make a good shot. But it's just the challenge of it, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I love about it because I mean, I don't know. Last year was different, but the years before that, I was basically behind the camera for everybody else, and
hmm
and then they would jump behind it for me or whatever. So it was different for me, um, learning the whole filming thing because I didn't necessarily have to worry about my weapon because I didn't
Yeah,
have one. My camera was my weapon, so I was just so focused on that, and I think it made me better when I went to self film myself. I was like,
yeah.
all right, I know I got to do this and I got to do this while doing something else, which is a pressure cooker situation to begin with. But it's definitely a lot of fun, man. You'll learn so many tips and tricks, and if anybody has advice to give you, man, just I would listen to them and put your
Oh
own
yeah,
thing,
I'm
your own spin
all
on it and
ears.
stuff.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I'm gonna try to. I've had a conversation with a few people this year. I'm gonna try to just do strictly filming for other people and stuff like that. Just because I mean, I love filming other people's hunts just as much as I love hunting. So
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm game either way.
Right. What's some goals that you got for Trail 27?
I mean, I would like to grow it. I mean, that's not my main focus. I just want to produce quality content. Maybe, like I said, get hooked up with a few people, do some filming for them. That's really the main goal. I don't really have a lot of goals set out for it. I'm just, making it for maybe one day my little girl, like I said, she'll watch it down the road. If it grows into something bigger than that, awesome. If I don't get any views, that's good for me. I'm not doing it specifically just for the views.
Right, I get that.
Building traditions.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I like that. Georgia. I've never hunted Georgia for anything yet. Talk about whitetails in Georgia.
Well, big whitetails kind of hard to come by. You can do some suburban hunting, obviously, and get some, but I mean, there's good deer here and there. I mean, I got between leases, private land, and permission land. I got probably around 1,000 acres I can hunt. I got some pretty good deer. My main thing is like I didn't really start. I don't know. I guess really hunting hard, like bow hunting and trying to get a mature buck and things like that until the past couple of years. Like I said, I grew up hunting, but it was always just go throw a bag of corn out, hunt over it, something like that, shoot whatever walks out. And I guess as I've got older and really got into bow hunting mainly, it's become more of wanting to kill a quality deer and things like that. And I have started out, I guess, later in life, learning a lot of things. Just like I said, my dad didn't hunt, so I didn't get taught, this is how you do this and this is how you look for this, stuff like that. And so I feel like I'm kind of behind, than most people on a few things, but I'm learning as I go. And the past 2 years ago, I got permission to a spot, and I've had some pretty good deer on it. But it's one of those things. I don't know if I was going in there too much, putting too much pressure on them, and it blew them out. I mean, I had 2 bucks that would have probably been top 5 archery record for my county, and
Nice.
I had one last year. Fed him all summer from May to the end of July. He was there like clockwork. As soon as the protein got low, he would leave for a day. I go refill it. He'd come back. Last picture I got of him was July 29th, I think, of last year. I haven't seen him since. Rode around, see if I might find he got hit by a car on one of the roads close by. I haven't seen anybody post anything about him. So, I don't know if I just pushed him out, my ignorance on my part, not knowing, or something happened to him. Somebody shot him, poached him. It's one of those things you never know. And it kind of just ate me alive. And I hunted that spot hard just because, me not knowing that if I blew him out or anything like that, or during the rut, maybe he'll slip in. I hunted it hard and never seen any of those 2 deers again. So it's just one of those things like, well, is it something I done, or is it just, you know, nature and he went off and died somewhere, just didn't come back to that area? And that's one of those things it's kind of the thing you're trying to learn about whitetails that you're never going to figure them out. But I mean, that's what keeps us coming back for more.
Absolutely. What about terrain? Talk a little bit about, you talked about having 1,000 acres. Talk a little bit about the terrain that you're hunting.
Part of that 1,000 acres is actually right over the line in Alabama, and it was clear cut timberland, which most of the land I have is timberland. I have a few spots that's got some agriculture around it, bunch of hay fields, I guess you could say, that I've hunted all my life that people lease out for hay that I can't really plant food plots in, but I've had decent deer come through. Not really, probably not as mountainous as maybe some of y'all hunt. It's just rolling, foothills kind of thing. But yeah, it's a lot of timberland, stuff like that. Our lease we got's around 300 acres. It was clear cut, I think, 5 or 6 years ago. So the planted pines are head high. It's not really. I mean, we have good deer come through there right now. We got some food plots planted and protein going, mineral sites, stuff like that. But it's not prime timber track. But that's what I told me and my cousin. We're in it, and I said, in 10 years, once they thin cut it once, it'll be a lot better. But right now it's good for rabbit hunting pretty much, just because it's head high pines. But I got 10 acres behind my house to hunt. I got a food plot there. I got little honey holes. It's not a bunch of land, but I try to do everything I can to maximize my opportunities on those spots. So, I just work year round. I don't have any other hobbies. That's all I do is hunt, or in the off season, I'm doing something to get ready for the next season. But,
Right.
and y'all know how it goes. We love it.
Oh,
So.
yeah.
Oh, for sure.
So we used to go down to Taylor County. I'm not sure how
Okay.
far Taylor County is from you?
It's probably about an hour and a half or so south of me.
So
I mean, I know where the area is at. Yeah.
my uncle had like it was a lot of land. It was like 2 square miles like off of the thing,
Mm-hmm.
and we didn't realize how nice we had it because we were young, like middle school, high school. So all
Yeah.
we wanted to do is ride around and shoot armadillos. But he had some big deer on there, right? So like it was really weird because it would be so cold in the morning. And this is like sandy dirt, right? Like, it's like
Mm-hmm.
kind of dirt and he had pines and stuff like that, but it'd be so cold and then it would get warm. And then, he would take us in the afternoon and ride us around to some of the other farms he had, like you could just get to from a different side or road, and show us some of the deer that was running around. And there was a ton of hunting pressure down there just because if I could be wrong, but that was Taylor County is a big buck producer, I believe, or it was
Yeah,
at
I think
that
it
time.
is. Yeah.
And there was a lot of good deer. So the pressure around there was pretty heavy. So is that kind of the state of Georgia as far as pressure, or is it just kind of in the subdivision? Because I know Seek One has brought a lot of attention to the Georgia, Atlanta area
Yeah.
all around.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, it's not. I mean, I guess it really probably depends on your area. I mean, South Georgia, there is a bunch of big buck counties down there. And funny story, I actually went to college in South Georgia and not Lee, Americus. And Leesburg was right south of there, about 30 minutes. And I mean, I hunted during them, but I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't an avid bow hunter, and trying to harvest mature whitetail stuff like that. Well, a couple of weeks ago, I went back down there to one of my buddies. He's a farm manager down there, so I went down there and done some filming with him. And I got to looking, and the number one county for big bucks in the state of Georgia for the past 5 years was like the next county over from where I went to college. And I was, just kind of kicking myself because I spent all this time down there during college and had all this free time, but didn't know I was that close to all these. I mean, I knew there were big deer down there in South Georgia, but
yeah,
I didn't know that was next door to me. I was like, well, if I could go back, I'd have done a lot more hunting down there while I was down there. But it's one of those things. Hindsight's 2020.
well, a young
For
man, you're not as focused on chasing
Oh
deer
yeah,
either.
yeah,
I feel like I hunted from the time I could really be out there, and I'll be honest with you, I've hunted hard a lot, but in the past probably 3 to 4 years, I finally found it like me falling into a routine of like it's actually clicking. Now,
yeah,
me and you, we've talked for quite a while, whether it be, duck hunting, deer hunting, like we're always checking in on each other throughout season. And last year you were firing on all cylinders. You were on a lot of
yeah,
deer consistently,
yeah,
So do you feel like, because you said you thought maybe you're behind in some aspects, I think you're firing and doing very well. As far as composure, like when they come in, like being able to get them on camera. So I think, man, I think you're doing pretty well. I think you're fixing to set it on fire.
yeah. And that's what I mean. I don't know. I guess sometimes we get, we do watch the TV shows, and we might think, oh, well, if I don't kill a 180-inch deer or something like that, I'm not successful. And I've never killed. I think the biggest buck I killed might be 110 inches, maybe. But obviously, that is my goal. I do want to kill a big mature whitetail,
Hmm.
but it's not. That's not what it's all about. I can go out and kill. I think I killed 9 does last year, something like that, and that's fine with me. I love shooting deer and harvesting mature does, stuff like that. And a lot of the places I get hunt, it's got any given day you can go hunt and see 15, 20 does. It's just overran. It is, it's in the city, of course. It's bow only, which that's about all I do now is bow hunt anyways. But um, yeah, I mean, 2 years ago, I really started bow hunting, and I kind of just, like you said, dialed into it, started
Yeah.
actually focusing on conservation side of it and harvesting deer, things like that. And lucked up, got a few pretty good properties, and just kind of been, like I said, them 2 big bucks showed up. Whether I pushed them out or, just nature happened, we'll see. But I mean, I've got a couple 8 pointers this year. They ain't nothing like those 2 were, but you just got to stay at it. It's a grind, but I love it.
Now,
what?
Brett, this next one don't count for you because you have so many big bucks. But for me growing up, at first, I wanted to just kill, man. I did. I just wanted to go out and I just wanted to shoot whatever. And then I
I
hit a
did the same
point.
way.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, you guys do have like even doe way bigger than our bucks do down here. So, but like, as a middle school, I didn't care if it was like, I'd get so pumped up for a spike. And then finally something clicked for me. And I was like, I think it was dragging them out. I was just like, I'm over this. I don't want to drag, and I was like, I'm going to wait and I'm going to shoot a good one. And then once I did that, like mentally it clicked. I feel like since I made that decision, I see a ton more deer because I'm not putting all the pressure on just seeing one to shoot it. And then like you can almost enjoy it. Is that kind of how it happened for you? You were just like,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
over.
yeah, yeah. And I shot that 8-pointer last year. I didn't get the score, but I'm gonna say it's probably around 110 inches, something like that. And I don't know. It's just one of those things. Okay, I've shot one this big. Well, let's go for one a little bit bigger. And that's like you said. I might hunt all day instead of versus the first day that comes out daylight, I'm gonna shoot it and then go do something else. And
Yeah.
I just enjoy hunting, watching them, film them, stuff like that. But yeah, that's how it is.
What's
Yeah.
something that jumped off the page for me is he was talking about small parcels of land. You don't need a whole lot of land to get it done. I killed a decent buck just down the road on like I think it was like 8 or 9 acres or something
Oh
like
yeah.
that. Like you don't need much. You just got to put yourself in the right place at the right time. Well, that's
Mm-hmm.
how it is around here, anyways. Because hunting pressure around here is getting worse each year. Because I mean, we drive. Me and Adam just did a couple rides around the block a couple nights ago, just to see what was out and about, roaming around, and it's like, well, man, who hunts that? Well, somebody here hunts here, and they hunt here, and his buddies and his cousins hunt here. It's like if there's a set of woods here in Indiana, somebody is probably hunting it, and if
Oh
they're
yeah.
not
Don't
hunting it,
doubt it.
it's some old time farmer that don't want nobody on there in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you play that game as on a small piece like that? Are you basically going off of trail cameras? Are you going off experiences that you've had while in the stand? How are you going about on them small pieces?
It's usually just basically trail cameras. It's like that where I had those two big deer at. It was right across the road. I had 80 acres permission. Then I actually found out that there was 2 acres across the 4 lane that the same guy owned that I had permission to. I just didn't know that land was over there. And I was like, I had two trail cameras out 100 yards from each other. And I was like, well, if there's deer on this camera, they're probably going to be on that camera. Went and put one out on that 2 acre land, 2 acre spot. And I had those two big deer show up. And it's like 100 yards from where I'm feeding over here. And I was thinking, surely, they're going to travel under. There was a bridge going under the 4 lane. I was like, surely they'll travel under that bridge. I don't know if it was they don't like going under the bridge. I don't know what it was, but it's like there's two different herds of deer 100 yards apart. And this one over here, there's two pretty good deer, and then over here, there's a bunch of little scrub 6s and 8s, stuff like that. But and then it backs up to 500 acres of county land that nobody has permission to hunt. So I don't know if they disappear back over there. I know there's not any pressure over there, so I think that's what helps me on that. But I run trail cameras year round. I kind of got, know what deer is what, where they're coming at, stuff like that. Other than those two big deer, they just up and disappeared on me. But that's kind of how I play the small parcels of land.
That's awesome. Stands or let's just kind of talk equipment for a second. Are you a fixed lock on kind of guy, climber, saddle? How are you going about things?
Last year I really got into lock-ons. It was the first year I ever used lock-ons, and they are just so lot simpler than because I had a climber for a while and I use it a lot, but man, I'm sure y'all probably used them before. It takes a minute to set up and you do it's a lot more work to get up the tree.
Mm-hmm.
I finally found where I wanted to put the stand locations for those lock-ons, and I can be up that in just a minute, be set up, ready to go, and it's a lot quicker than a climber. Haven't really gotten into saddle hunting. I've been doing some research on it. Probably going to try one out this year at one of the shows I'm at, but probably might get into that a little bit. I think I'd be more beneficial with that just because I do bounce around hunting and stuff. And then
Mm-hmm.
that way I don't have to set up, 20 different lock on stands in different spots. That way, oh, I have a stand here, I have a stand here. I can just, oh, here's a tree I want to hunt. I think this would be a good spot, or the wind's good right here. I can just get in that saddle and climb up the tree and hunt. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try that out this year.
Lock-ons, man, I love them. I've been using them for a long time. I never was a ladder stand type of guy. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if it was just I thought the deer could see the ladder when I was younger or whatever the case might be. I was always a lock-on guy. I had climbers too. I just kind of have a bad taste in my mouth for climbers. They were just so big and bulky, and
Yeah.
I wasn't used to the being mobile type of thing. I was used to just going in and getting in those lock-ons, and then now I run saddles, and then right now I'm actually I bought a stand today, XOP something Revolution or whatever it is. I'm going to be putting together a public land mobile setup with a light lock on. It was like 9 pounds or whatever it is. Not too much different from going in with a saddle, because hell, when time I get in, with my sticks, they're about 5 pounds put together, and then a platform and my bag and my camera and everything. What's a couple more pounds to put on and be pretty comfy up in the lock on,
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I didn't.
Go ahead, buddy.
I hadn't really. I mean, I've been looking at the saddles, and I just hadn't, I guess, bit the bullet, I guess you would say. But I know they're usually at the shows I go to, so I'm gonna probably try one out there and probably just go ahead and bite the bullet and get it over with and see how it goes this year with it.
Word of advice on that: I wouldn't buy like the cheapest setup, because it definitely reflects on that sort of thing.
Yeah, probably get what you pay for, I'm sure.
Oh, for sure. And I know that they have the I think it's the Mobile Hunters Expo down there in Georgia.
Yeah, it's coming up in it's the last weekend of June, about 2 weeks. I'll be there. I'll actually be there. Wise, I'll be in the booth with them. So
nice.
We'll be up there. That'll be our.
For some reason, I was thinking it was in July, because
Well,
Brandon.
they have a northern and a southern show. I know the southern one is at the end of June. The one in the north might be in July. I don't know.
I got you. I may have got the dates mixed up, because I was talking with Brandon from Desperado, and he was talking about maybe having me down there and at Dalton at the show, which I think would be pretty fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, especially I worked a few shows with them last year, and it's fun just to get out. Obviously tell people about the product, but just talk about hunting in general. And a bunch of people come by, and they'll tell you their success stories or things they've done that worked and didn't work, stuff like that. So it's just fun to talk about hunting at those shows.
Oh, for sure. I've worked at Indie Expo the last several years for Exact Archery, and it's cool because, like, the first year he was a newer product, and then you get the guys coming in the next year that are telling you stories about, deer they shot with the broadheads, or how things went right for them, or whatever, success stories and all that kind of stuff. And like you said, just talking hunting with everybody that walks by, you can be tired of talking by the end of the day.
Yeah, I know that's right.
What about public land? Is that something that you get into down there?
There's a few public land spots around my house. I actually ran some cameras on them last year just to kind of see if it was gonna be worth my while. I didn't even hunt any public land last year. I don't really, not really hunt much public land. When we do go out west duck hunting, that's usually all we hunt's public land. But as far as deer hunting, duck hunting around here on public land is not great at all. So I'm not going to waste my time on it anymore when I can just go out west. But there's a few WMAs around here that's producing pretty good deer. It's just I got other places I know I can guarantee seeing a deer, and just one of those things I hadn't really have a want for it. So,
so on your you said you have roughly about 1,000. Is that predominantly like solely just you, or do you have to worry about like other lease members, or other people putting pressure on your deer trying to chase the same one?
Well, as far as the same property, no, it's mainly just me. There's plenty of properties around them where they're getting pressured and stuff like that, but 300 of the acres, me and my cousin, so it's just 2 or 3 of us. There's not really a bunch of pressure, and then the rest of it's just either family land or land I got permission to, or land that I lease. But it's only just me, it's nobody else. I'm not really. I used to be in some clubs where there might be 10 or 15 people, but I've kind of got away from that. I've been working on kind of the permission, getting permission to hunt land or leasing land myself. Just because I'd rather have it that way, to where I'm not having to answer to somebody else. Oh, well, can I do this? Can I do that? I'm kind of work the land how I want to and things like that.
Or you get it to a certain point and somebody comes in and shoots everyone that you've let walk.
Oh yeah, yeah. And that's why I told my cousin, I was like, I want to do, I guess, kind of practicing quality deer management. But that's what I told him. I said, we have this 300 acres. It's not 1,000 acres or anything like that, but we can do what we want to with it. We don't have to answer to nobody, and we can kind of manage our own herd. So, if we have 300 acres where we're not killing everything, then probably all the deer around it's going to feel like they're a little safe haven. So we're going to hold more deer, I would think, as long as we, do good food plots, minerals, protein, stuff like that. So I mean, we can get good quality deer as long as we pick and choose and take the ones that need to be taken and things like that, not just kill everything we see.
I can vouch 100% for that because up until this year, I have hunted until opener of duck, and then I don't deer hunt any of my properties. I'm like you. Nobody else hunts any of my properties. I'm the only one that can hunt. So these deer never get pressured after the last weekend of November. Man, I've got so many deer that literally you can ask Brett, like you can do a circle, they'll be out, you can come back around, they're back out. I got videos of the little one pouring corn out and literally being like, "Hey, come on, mama deer," and they're coming running at her. Like, I do believe that's a big thing. Like, and like where my farm, like you're out there a lot, so your presence is there. So like we're always working here. So these deer, they don't think anything about my scent. They don't think anything about that. Plus, I don't put no pressure on them. So there's nothing that's bad, tied to that scent per se. So like this weekend, man, we were heavy. I mean, we worked until dark Friday, till dark Saturday. Last night we were out until dark. Those deer on trail cam literally 10 minutes after we leave. So I do think that that's a huge thing. Like if you can come in and, I do think those doe know I'm in the stand about every time I'm in there, but they don't. They're like, oh, we're good until that big one cruises. Then everybody's a little bit on edge. But man, I do. I think if you can build something that has bedding or a little bit of food and no pressure, and like everybody around you's hunting, they're going to find that as an oasis, and they're going to hang out there for sure.
Yeah, and that's I don't want you to think I'm a deer biologist or anything like that, but like I said, as I've got older, I've wanted to get deeper into it on why should you do this, why shouldn't you do this. I've been reading up a lot on it, and that's like with that property, I want to try to do a few different things, and it's timberland, so we can only do certain things, but we can do things to maximize it to its full potential. So I've been kind of, dabbling into that and trying to, just taking what I can do with what land I have and try to maximize it to its full potential to get as much as I can out of it.
Yep. And every little thing you can do makes a difference. Like these strut zones I make, man, that's bare minimum on what you can do. But man, they use them hard. And then it makes your traveling around the property a lot easier too. So me and Brett used them until we hit the dang mountainside, and then it was, he comes from the flat walking, and what we walked was damn near elk country for about
That's what it
yards.
felt like. Go back on the pressure thing a little bit as far as you being out on your land. I've seen, and I'm not even joking, I've seen this multiple times. I've seen bucks in the rut chasing does while they're cutting corn. And he's chasing them around the damn combine and shit, like it's just kind of weird to see that, because you would think, oh man, that tractor or that farmer is going to scare him off. They go back in the woods, tractor's gone or going for another pass, they're right back out there. And then
they know that fresh corn's going to be on the ground too. They pick up on that. Because like when we mow hay, it's like counterclockwork. Here comes coyotes, because they know you're chopping stuff up. You know what I mean? So like if coyotes can pick it up and deer can outsmart coyotes, then when those big combines come through, they know there's going to be some spilling of corn. And man, I think you're onto it too. Sometimes that's the best time to be out there because it's all fresh.
If I see him cutting, I'm hunting. I'm going right. I'll park right next to the grain cart back by the road, and you walk in. I don't care. They know I'm there. I've even waved to the farmer before. Actually, I think that was last year I was hunting, and he made a pass, and I seen him look up, and I just kind of waved, And then like 20 minutes later, I heard him shut it down. I'm like, man, I wish he wouldn't have shut that down. Keep going. I don't care. I'm here for it.
So I went and looked at bows today because I'm a part-time bow hunter. I'll buy a bow and I'll hunt for like 3 times, and I complain about how hot it is, and then I sell it. And then every year I'm like, damn, I shouldn't have sold that. Here I go. So I went today and looked at some bows. You two are predominantly bow hunters. So what kind of setup are you running, Brent?
I'm running the Hoyt RX7 Ultra. I bought it 2022, I think. And like I said before that, I was a part-time bow hunter, and I've always had a bow. I think my first bow was like the Bowtech Triumph, little
Mm-hmm.
40-pound bow. I think I got it when I was 8 or 9. And summer months I'd be practicing shooting, and I'd go hunting one time and it'd be too hot, being eat up by mosquitoes, and I thought, well, this ain't for me. I'm gonna wait till gun season, it cools off, and do that year after year after year. And then I had a like a Garmin tracking system for coon hunting, and I traded it for, I think, a Bowtech Boss, which is, I think I was 16, 17 at the time. Thought I was gonna get a little bit better bow, gonna get into it harder. Same thing, practice all summer. Come opening weekend, it was too hot. I think I hunted maybe an hour and said, no, this ain't gonna work this year either. And just because I'd never been successful, I think I'd shot at a deer once up at that point and shot 3 foot under it. And, it was just, well, this just ain't for me. When I can, step out with a rifle and I know pretty much 90% I'm going to drop it. But,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it was 2021, I think. And there was a store, a new bow hunting store right down the road. It was opening up, had a grand opening. I seen this stuff on Facebook. They were going to have all kind of sales. Me and my buddies went down there and checked it out, and he had I think it was the year the Matthews V3 come out, and man, I'd never shot a brand new bow or anything. I've always had hand-me-downs or older bows, and I shot that bow, and it was so fast and so quiet. Bought it that day. I think that year I ended up killing 3 does, and I killed a little 4-point. But man, I was hooked after that. I guess once I finally had some success, and I did rifle hunt that year a little bit. I think I took 2 or 3 with a rifle that year, maybe. And then I never shot a Hoyt, and the next year went and shot a Hoyt at a bow shop, and fell in love with it. Not badmouth the Matthews or either brand or anything like that, but it fit me a lot better. And where I messed up is with a Matthews. I bought, I think, the 27 or 29-inch axle to axle. So I have a 30.5-inch draw length. So obviously it's going to be a little bit harder to draw than a longer axle to axle bow.
Mm-hmm.
And that Hoyt RX-7 Ultra was, I don't know if it's 30, it might be 32 axle to axle. I can't, 32 or 34, but it just smooth draw. And the let off on it don't feel like you're not even holding anything. And so I got it 2022, I think. And man, I shot, I think, 9 deer that year with my bow, and I've not looked back since. Like I said, I think I shot 8 or 9 last year, and I've just been adding them up with it, and I can't get enough of it. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with rifle hunting. It's just where I'm at right now. It's just, to me, archery is more of a challenge. They got to get a lot closer and things like that. And it's just gets me pumped up, and it's a lot more funner than rifle hunting right now to me.
Oh yeah.
Oh, for
See,
sure.
I'm a muzzleloader guy here just because of the time of year that it opens up here. But I went to a bow shop today. I was talking to Brett about it, and I was like, I told him this morning, as soon as I walked out of the bow shop, I was like, man, it's an RX-7 or RX-8.
Yep.
Wild. They shot super smooth. I didn't shoot the Matthews, but the Matthews, I was telling him, I was like, they're slick, and the one that I looked at was like super, like it looked like it was 4 foot long. And I was like, I'd hate to drag that thing through the woods. But yeah, I can't believe the bows now, as far as like, when we're all about the same age. I'm 31. So, having the single cam, the plastic cam, PSE Fitzgerald or something like that. If you look back on those, where it's almost 0% let off, and you just get it back, and it's just, they've come so far.
Oh, yeah.
And trail cameras have come so far. Stands. I was looking at some old school stands the other day. Some dude was selling a bunch of them on Marketplace, and it was like legit chains on the back that
I remember
like,
that.
you remember those, right? So
I
like,
had some of
you
those.
pop them in like you're locking a cattle gate.
Yeah.
And it's like, we used that shit, and we thought we were just like rolling.
Oh,
And
yeah.
now you look at it, and everything's kind of becoming more and more fail proof, as far as like, getting locked on and climbed up, like the saddles. I've never done the saddle. I've been a big all my spots, I've always hung ladder stands, or we'll go in and brush a blind in real good. And I'll tell you what, once I did, I wish I'd have never done that, because it's ruined me. On a cold morning, you can find me in a ground blind, because I've got the heater going and I'm just enjoying it. But Brett's big on the saddles, and I hope when I come to Indiana deer hunt, he don't hook me up on one, because
It's not.
I'll be tying the knot up there from swinging around having a good time.
Well, it's not like I am just solely that. That's what I've tried to instill in a couple people that kind of took the leap of faith with the saddles with me. Is it's a tool, just like anything else. If you think, like a lot of these out of state hunts that I go on when we hunt public, it's perfect because I'm not carrying this, summit tree stand on my back that's feels like 4 foot wide when you're walking through the woods. I can make up some ground, and lightweight. And like I said earlier, when I had those lock-ons when I was younger, it was just like tunnel vision. Like I went and sat in the lock-on. If I didn't see anything, I left and I did it again the next day. Now it's got me almost scouting on the fly as I'm walking in, as I'm walking out. Oh, look, there's a new set of rubs right here. There's 3 or 4 of them. He must be coming in here. Let's hunt this today. Let's see if we can catch him coming in here and doing it or whatever, stuff like that. Just like I said, I bought that XOP earlier. I can't wait to have a public land setup lock on kind of deal. Like if I want to go in there and I'm like, really like this spot, I may leave the stand overnight and just take my sticks. That way nobody could get to it unless they had a set of sticks, which I never thought about that until it came out of my mouth. But you get what I mean? Like I could go in the next day and just have to put my sticks up or whatever. I'm excited to have another tool to be able to go and
open up a new spot.
Absolutely.
Before a saddle, what do you carry in then? Because I have zero experience on. I've not looked into it. I've not done just one like what I've seen on YouTube.
It's not as complicated as you might think.
Is it like a foot platform and then sticks?
It's just for your foot, and mine weighs like 4.5 pounds or something. But I have a backpack built just for saddle hunting. So this backpack, my platform goes right on the front of it, and 2 sticks on each side of the bag. I throw the bag on and go. When I get to the tree, I put my sticks up, go up, and when you're climbing with your saddle, you have a lineman's rope, just like you would be hanging a lock on or whatever. You have a tree or the rope just goes around and hooks to loops on your saddle. You go up, do your thing, and then you put another rope when you get to a certain point, which is called your tether. You get up there and then you connect it to the bridge on your saddle and you hang off that. Basically, it's 2 ropes and a set of sticks and a platform. I know that sounds a lot. Come to a person, if that's not your thing or you haven't done anything, that sounds like a lot of work. But once you get into a routine of it, I can be up in a tree in 10 minutes. Boom. I mean, I know 10 minutes sounds a lot, but for beginners, trust me, it's pretty quick because you can put some time in. There's times where I went all the way up to get set up and then be like, yeah, I don't like this. I'm getting down and I'll go to the next tree. I got sometimes it's, public land or something. I get set up and then I realize there's a guy, 150 yards from me that I didn't see when I walked in. It's like, well, shit, I better get back down and go find me someplace else,
Well, that kind of leads me to my next question. How high are you guys climbing? I've seen Brent's Snapchats. It looks like he gets up there. I've seen your videos, Brett. It looks like you get up there. I like to be around, if I can, ladder stands are what, 12 to 15.
Mm-hmm.
I've been finding myself. Yeah, I've been finding myself having to come down a couple notches once the sun comes up because I'll just get to going. Next thing I know, I'm a little too high. But I think for me, I like to be around 20 to 25 feet, depending on what I'm hunting, whether it be like little thickets or whatever. 25, 20, I feel like it's high enough to not be in their peripheral vision.
With my sticks, I got 4, I think they're 18-inch sticks or something like that. I get up about the 18 to 19-foot mark. That's about as high as I can get it. That's me knowing what I'm doing, putting my sticks a little bit higher to be able to get up that high. But I would say if I'm putting a lock on, I'd love to be 25 foot. That'd be about the mark I'd like.
Yeah, I'm probably around 20, 25, somewhere in there. The one spot where I do have a lock on, it's probably the tree kind of V's, or it's more like a 3-fork. And so I put my climbing sticks up in the V, so it's like 5 foot off the ground, and they're 20 foot, so it's about 25 foot. So it really works out perfect. But before I put that lock on there, I had a climber there, And one morning, I don't know what I was thinking. I got my climber, thought I hooked my bow up, climb up there, go to pull my bow up, and the bow's not hooked to the
Oh
cord.
no.
So then I climb all the way back down. And I mean, I know I watch them on camera. I know about what time they're going to come in. It's like clockwork. And I'm climbing down, get my bow, I'm climbing back up, and it's almost, it's getting daylight. I can see. I know if they're coming in, they can see me. So I got probably 10 foot off the ground, maybe, because I didn't want to keep climbing, them see me and spook them or anything like that. And man, I had deer all around me. I mean, they were up under me. And I mean, I know it's, the higher the better, things like that. But my thing is, as long as you're still, you could probably sit on the
Yep.
ground, stuff like that. It's going to make it harder if you're trying to draw back a bow. But that morning, I mean, I wasn't going to plan on shooting anything that morning unless it was just a big buck. But I mean, I had those all around me. They were looking at me, trying to figure out what I was. But I mean, I could probably reach out and almost touch them with my foot. But it's just
Snag
one
'em.
of those things. I didn't plan on it, but it just happened the way it happened.
I think when I go to think about how I want to get, I think about looking down and looking back up. Do I have what's going to break me up? Is
Yeah.
there foliage behind me? At home it can be tough sometimes because it's so wide open here. It may be a situation where I'm only 12 or 13 foot off the ground just because I'm trying to hide myself better, which that can have a problem. Like I hunt, like I was talking about walking in and scouting as I'm walking in. The day that I missed that big one, well, I didn't miss him. The last year when I didn't kill him, I went back in that evening and I thought I'm starting from scratch. I'm gonna walk in, see what I see. I obviously know the area. I've been hunting this property for 20 some years. I get in and I went through on this creek bank, and I'm like, oh man, there's a ton of sign here. I just went up into this little pinch point, climbed up. 3 hours later, or whatever it was, this buck was coming right down the creek, and he was wide. I hadn't seen this buck before on camera. I couldn't get a shot on him, and he was at 15 yards because of the foliage of the creek bank. I couldn't get a shot through there, and there's no way he could have seen me, but I think he may have smelled where I walked the creek up, and he hit that, and he just stopped and turned around and went right back to where he came from, which you live and you learn. It happens a lot, especially with deer.
Yeah.
But just having that foliage break me up, it was kind of perfect, really, where I was sitting.
Yeah, that makes sense as
Yep.
far as if it's thick at 15, you don't want to go 25 because you're just going to be sticking out.
Stand out. Yeah, I mean, most of the places I hunt, I don't really have that problem. I mean, I hunt a few fields here and there, but most of the time, if they're looking back at me, there's a bunch of trees behind me and stuff like that, or I'll place them strategically so that way I do break up my figure and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you hunt a lot of pines?
Yeah, majority of it is pines.
How do you go, are you just looking at transitions and trails at that point? Because I know how thick those needles get. And when we hunted Taylor County, they would come through and drag certain rows of the pines, and they would plant, clover and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like a full-time job keeping those plots clean.
Oh, yeah, it's always something trying to keep them clean, which most of the times on those, like, if it's pretty thick in the pines where I'm hunting a spot, I'll try to just do, like, little micro plots, things like that, where I go in there with a rake, keep them cleaned out, and then a few of the places I have are hardwood bottoms, stuff like that I'll hunt, and they're not as hard. But yeah, on those pine ones, I just, like I said, do little micro plots and just go in there with a rake and keep them cleaned out, keep the pine straw off them as much as I can. That's really about all you can do.
Mm-hmm. What about other states? Do you hunt any other states for deer, or just Georgia?
Other than Alabama, just because I got that lease. But other than that,
true.
I haven't. I actually last year I put in for my cousins. We were going to put in. I found a guide out in north central Kansas, and
Mhm.
I'd never applied for a tag or anything like that. And we applied as a group, and luckily we all drew. And I think it was 250 deposit. The tags were $400 or $500, and it was a buck and a doe tag. And pretty pumped up about that. Bow only. And come around to it, I had some things happen, wasn't able to go, so they killed, I think, a 140 and a 150 inch. And he
Nice.
sent me videos. I was kicking myself for it, but it's one of those things, life's happen. But no, I've been looking around at some public land spots around Arkansas and Kansas, stuff like that. If I can, get a tag for Kansas. I think Arkansas, you don't have to get drawn for it. It's just over the counter, I think. But I've been looking at it. I've hunted a lot duck hunting. I've hunted North Dakota, Missouri, Arkansas, done a bunch of out of state for duck hunting. But that was like when I was a teenager. I was more waterfowl hunting than I was deer hunting. But now I'm getting I still like the waterfowl hunt, but it's like one of those things. Like I said, I don't want to go around here and fight 4 people for a wood duck when I can go out west. And we went to North Dakota and we shot a 12-man limit, I think 8 days in a row, and it's just out there. It's a different ball game,
Oh,
and
for
I'd rather
sure.
just save my time, go up out there, than waste time around the house. Where around the house I can go deer hunting, and I know I'm gonna see a deer versus I
Yeah.
might see a duck or might not. So I've been looking into it, doing some research and trying to figure out where I'm gonna go, a couple places like that. So I don't know if I'll get out anywhere this year. I think we're gonna try to go back to North Dakota duck hunting, but I don't know if I'm gonna go out of state deer hunting this year anywhere. Unless I know me and Dylan's been talking about it. We've been gonna go hunt back and forth, and
Man, for
I've just
a
been
couple
busy.
years now.
Yeah, I know, man. I get busy, and I kind of work a messed up schedule right now. I work Wednesday through Saturday, so I'm off 2 days when everybody else is working and stuff like that. But we'll eventually get something planned out, and I'll get up there, and you can get down here, and we'll get some hunts sorted
Yeah,
out.
we
So
we tried to do turkey this year, and it was, you know,
either you were
Sundays,
you were busy, or I had something going on, or when you were free. Just how it is, how it plays out
and our
sometimes.
seasons are, kind of staggered. You got like 2 weeks
Yeah,
before us, so you want to like I told Brett, man, I was like, if you're coming down here, these are the dates you need to be down here
yeah.
because early, I can damn near promise you one. If you don't miss, and I had to come in and clean that mess up there at the end. But deer's the same way. If I can, Brett's gonna come up for or come down for the velvet, and they're still in their summer pattern. So that's why last year when we shot that big buck, I didn't have him on camera at all the previous year. And I hunted pretty hard, never seen him, never had him on camera. But he was, I mean, dude, I was getting him daylighting 3, 4 times in a single day, right? On the same camera. Not like he was moving. Like I knew exactly where he
Yeah.
was. And I told my buddy, I was like, dude, we're going to have to kill this deer for the velvet because I'm thinking he's moving out as soon as the cold weather moves in. Like this is his home range. This isn't where he ruts. And we got it done. So like for Brett to come down for that, I'm pretty confident just because their pattern's not really going to
Mhm.
change. There's nothing going to fire him up to get him to move. He's going to sweat.
Oh,
So
I'm used to
that'll be
that.
that. But for deer here, man, it's that first week, the last week of October into the first 2 weeks of November here. Just pack you a couple sandwiches because it's going to be magical. And I'm pretty sure for you being further south, you guys are probably firing up on rut, what, mid-November, or is it still early
Yeah,
November?
around the second, going into the third week, right around Thanksgiving. It could be, one year it might be a little later, one year it might be a little earlier, but it's usually around that time period.
Brett, when do they come in for you?
Man, the rut really gets kicked off. I would say the peak of our rut is probably that second week of November. And everybody that you always hear everybody talk about that rut this, rut this. That isn't even my favorite time to hunt. My favorite time to hunt deer is the chase. The 2 weeks before that. I mean, it's unbelievable sometimes. Like my Halloween morning here, um, YouTube video out there, that the couple days where I was chasing that big one. I hadn't even really made it into November yet, and I had him. I wouldn't say clockwork, but I had him pinned down to a general area where I thought he was, and he was there, and he never really left there until after I shot him, and then he left. But I was able to just the intel that I had being in the stand, and I think Halloween was on like a Monday or Tuesday last year. I woke up, looked at the barometric pressure and everything, and the cloud cover, and I was like, screw work today. I'm going to the tree stand. And I'm glad that I did because it played out for me. But I don't know, man. That chase, man, it's so much different than the rut. You may have a 4 or 5 day period in the rut where they get locked down. You may not even see any deer. I mean, it's different here. I know you guys' deer populations are a lot different than ours, but there may be a couple days in November where I don't even see deer because the big bucks that got him locked down in the middle of a field somewhere. The only time he gets up is when he breeds her, and then the cycle starts again at midnight when I'm in bed. They're still doing the thing. You know what I mean? I just
Yeah.
I just like that time period better for me.
It's just a magical time. That's when the leaves are coming off. That's when like we finally get out and you're not miserable sitting all day. I
Yeah.
tried last year to really study like the deer cast versus what I'm seeing. So I went into preseason, and I was comparing deer casts scheduled, movement or patterns to my trail camera patterns. And this may stir some shit up,
Let's hear it.
but every time that it said it was bad, I had the best hunts and we killed, or I had the most movement. So I don't know if we also live right on a lake. So I don't know if the barometric pressure changes or what. But like when it was good, don't get me wrong. Like if it said perfect, I seen deer. But I see deer when it says not good as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I try to study like because the Drurys, they obviously know what they're doing. They kill and they've built this empire. So I try to take their intel and build it and compared to mine. So I'm just, I'll look at Hunt Stand and I'll look at Onyx and see, what their pressures are doing, and I'll compare them to the Weather Channel app and all this stuff. So, like you said, Brent, I'm kind of just trying to be a little bit of a biologist almost and just compare.
Yeah.
Because, it is like and I almost wanted to prove the Hunt Stand or the deer cast thing wrong so that if I looked at it and it said bad, I wasn't going to mentally get in a spot to where I was like, oh, I shouldn't even go.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I don't know how many people have looked at that and like didn't go on Warrens just because it said bad. So like, I think I hunted harder on days that it said bad or not good just to try to mentally get myself to a point to where like that is irrelevant.
Well,
So I don't know if you guys keep up with that or like try to study or try to pattern stuff.
So I'll challenge you to do this, and it'll take, I know it sounds bad, but it'll take you several years to get the information to put together, but journal your hunts. I'll show you when I come down exactly what I do. Just some free journaling app I use on the Apple Store, but I type in everything: cloud cover, pressure, how many deer I saw, where I was at, wind direction. I go through it all. And in this certain property where I shot that one last year, not even the same deer, they may have been related, did the exact same thing almost on the exact same day.
Wow.
3 years apart. And that gets you thinking, like, it's just like their biological clocks telling them what to do. But
like
I almost shot that deer in the exact same spot I shot the one the year before on the exact same day.
Wow. Well, I went 3 November 13th in a row killing good bucks.
Nice.
Like in the afternoon, and then the fourth one I had to work and I couldn't. Like I got out there and it was like 20 minutes of legal shooting light, so it's kind of like I was just going for a Hail Mary. So I can back. I mean, I can believe that for sure. It's just crazy because I know I've hunted Georgia for deer and I've hunted Georgia for turkey. Georgia can be the weather changing like it does can really,
Oh,
man,
yeah.
I'm telling you, we would bundle up just freezing our butts off. And then by 12, we're in short sleeves and shorts running around.
Yeah, it changes drastically throughout the season.
And it's hard to dress for, like if you're going to be hunting. So, man, I don't know. It can't get here soon enough. I know you're waiting for, when's your season in Georgia? September?
I want to say second weekend in September, I think, because it's always dove and early season geese, and the next weekend is first weekend of bow season. So
see, we're last weekend in September, and then I'm sure Brett opens up maybe before us just because he's
October 1st.
Up. So it's further back. See, I would assume it'd be opposite working its way down.
Yeah, we open October 1st every year, no matter what day it's on. That's when it opens.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. And you touch on that a little bit. For the last 3 years, I go to Kentucky for Labor Day weekend, and they push Kentucky back like a whole week, or I can't remember exactly, but it didn't make sense for me to go there because the season wouldn't been opening up on Labor Day like it has, which made my trip to you even better because it was going to be Tennessee, Kentucky, and then I'm going to Missouri for their opener about that same time as you guys opened up down there, the middle of September sometime. But that's kind of changing some things, and I wouldn't know why they would really do that. I would imagine they're going to lose a ton of money because there is. I can't even count how many times we've met people even from out of state down there that they come to Kentucky on Labor Day weekend to deer hunt, like in groves almost, because everybody wants that big velvet buck kind of thing.
And it's expensive to hunt Kentucky. It's not cheap.
$375 for a bow tag, and $375, and you take 10 or 15 people off that, it starts to add up quite a bit.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why Tennessee, once they done because we're late September, so all the velvet's long gone. They kind of followed the Kentucky thing with the velvet, and they just pushed it super early. But we can't hunt over bait. Georgia, you guys can, right?
Yeah.
And then Kentucky can
on private.
Yeah, on private.
Yeah.
And then I mean, I would like. I would definitely pour some out if we were allowed to. But as much food plots as I do, I think it kind of supplements it. But I'm kind of curious on why Tennessee hasn't followed that, because they just released turkey numbers and they had moved season back the last 2 years by like 2 weeks, which is huge because we were already coming in kind of later. But the numbers were like, so Brett, I texted you the numbers and it was like 31,800 for this year, something like that. Don't quote me. So I looked up the numbers from last year and it was like 31,600. So there was 200 more birds killed. But now moving forward, they're taking no hens, which cuts say 10% of that. And then
there wasn't very many on those.
There wasn't very many, so they're taking that completely out, and then they've weaned it down to just one Jake. Which I don't. People are saying take away the one Jake at all and just be 2 Toms, but I think that would kind of be hard to do. With you've seen how we hunt in our elevation. If somebody's first bird of the year and they see a red head, they're probably going to shoot it.
Or if they haven't shot one in like 20 years or something.
Right.
Like that.
So, I think the one Jake thing's okay for the people who want to take one, but they're working towards that. And then the deer numbers, we used to be allowed 4 bucks a year.
That's insane.
Now we're allowed 2, but like we can hop around to different units and we can shoot different numbers of doe. Like you go to West Tennessee or Middle Tennessee around Nashville, it's 3 does a day. And then you said you shot 9 something last year. So what's your kind of deer numbers look like in Georgia? Is it $2, $4?
Right now it's $2 and I think 10 does. And one of the bucks, one could be anything, and the other one has to be 4 on one side. And I think
that's cool.
12-inch spread maybe.
I like that.
So they hadn't really. I don't think, as far as I can remember, it's been like that for a while since I've been hunting.
It's crazy, how vastly different these DNRs are. You know what I mean? Like, as long as I've ever deer hunted in the state of Indiana, I've only been able to kill 1 buck. And then my does go off of what county I'm hunting in. Some counties you can only shoot 1, some you can shoot 2. There was one county, the highest now is 2. But back in the day, before they realized what was going on, there was counties where you could shoot 10 in one county. And if you were to buy separate license for everything, you could kill I think it was 132 deer or something in the state of Indiana or something like that. Like just does. If you just traveled all the, oh, for sure. I don't know who needs that much deer meat, but
yeah, I don't. That's a lot.
That's just decimating the herd.
But no, one thing I wanted to mention, Brett, how you was talking about you keep up with all the data and write everything down. I mean, I'm not trying to just come on here and specifically promote anything, but that's why I use the WiseEye data cameras, and that's where they get the data camera from. Paired with your hunt control app, which is the app that you run the cameras on. And right now I'm running 13 of them. But like on those 2 target bucks I had, every time when it takes a picture, you get all this data. You get the barometric pressure, your wind speed, your wind direction, moon phases, time of day, all this information with every picture that it takes. So when I see them specific bucks or one that I want to target, you can drop a tag on it. You name that tag, and every time I see that buck, I'm gonna drop a tag on it. So then I can go in. It has a prediction model. You go in, say, hey, I'm going to hunt these 5 days, select this buck tag. I want to hunt this buck. And then based off of the previous pictures it took of that and all the information, it's going to wrap it up, and then it's going to look at the future 5-day forecast and give you the best time in those 5 days to hunt that buck based off the previous information that it took from each camera. And I know there's some other companies come out there that say they have predictions and stuff. Well, the way it works is they kind of say, oh, hey, it's full moon, it's good to go hunting, or it's not a full moon, it's not a good time to go hunt, stuff like that. But with Wise Eye, they take their information is based off every picture that your camera took of a specific location. The data cams, they have GPS, so that's how it gets your information from your weather app off your phone, specifically off the GPS coordinates from that camera, like on the mini cams. You have to drop a pin where that camera's at so it gets accurate information. But it takes, because when I was working these expos last year, I never, which like I said, I never really got that deep into it. And all these older gentlemen would come up and be like, yeah, this is my Excel spreadsheet. I'd keep up, well, I seen this deer on this date and what the wind was and all that. And I'm telling them, like, all this stuff you're doing, this technology that Wise Eye has, it takes all that work out of it. So you can just, when you see a deer that you want to keep up with, you drop a tag on it, or you can go through, it does species recognition. It'll do, okay, this is an antlerless deer, this is an antlered deer, people, turkeys, vehicles, things like that, predators. And I can pull up, say on one camera, I want to see all the does or all the antlerless deer. And then you can do it off of 2 weeks, off of, I've got, I think on mine right now, I've got 80,000 something pictures I've been running them 2 years. So to pull up all this information off the past 2 years and not just, the past month or whatever. And it just takes a lot of guesswork out of it. And I've been, like I said, I'm actually on field staff for them. But before that, that same bow shop where I bought the bow, I was like, I didn't have cell cameras, and I tried some other ones. And I was like, what's the best one out right now? And he recommended Wise Eye. So I started using them, man, fell in love with them. I think one of their guys actually reached out to me about being field staff, but man, some of the things that they can do with these cameras nowadays is just crazy. But definitely the Wise Eye data cam, they've just released 2 new ones they're coming out with. The new one's going to have a action shot on it. So if you do self-film, it's going to be pretty cool. I'm going to definitely put it to the test. But say your target buck steps out in front of your camera and you want to video it, well, you can go on there, hit the action shot, record a 2, 3, 4, or 5-minute video of you shooting that deer, or if you have 2 bucks fighting, something like that, and it puts it on the SD card. So then you either just pull the SD card and you can get that video off. So I'm going to use it to add, different viewpoints from some of my videos. But just you bringing that up, that just kind of brought back to my attention. It just
awesome.
takes a lot of, it takes it. And some people don't know that it does that. And like I said, I didn't know, the older generation, and, some of y'all guys that do all this extra work for deer hunting and try to track a specific deer. And here I am, I just stumbled upon a Wise Eye a couple of years ago, and I didn't know how many people done that. And I was like, well, this is a lot more simpler than having to do all that. And I'm not saying, the way you do it's wrong or anything like that. I'm just saying, this is another, like you said, a tool, just kind of like a saddle setup.
Absolutely. I actually I couldn't tell you the guy's name, but the first day of our expo, before everything opened up, I always walk around and talk to people. And I actually talked to the Wise Eye. Me and Adam talked to him for about a half hour or so. And he showed us, I think it was some guy, some big wig or something that had 50 cameras on a property in like Texas or something like that. And he was showing me all the different, like you said, the predictions and all that kind of stuff. Very neat product, man. I would say they're definitely ahead of the curve compared to some other cameras on having technology like that.
Yeah, it's wild. I guess the way technology's come into hunting and all the things that's, taking place and where it's going, who knows where it's going to be in 10 years from now.
Yeah. So if you had like a bucket list hunt to put together, what's your like bucket list hunt?
Anything or just whitetail?
Yeah, anything in general.
I got a couple actually. Some of them might not be that big, but I definitely want to do an elk hunt. Preferably, a good unit, New Mexico somewhere, with a bow. I want to get up to Alaska to the Bering Sea. I want to do some king otter hunting up there.
Yeah.
And I'd like to go on a conservation hunt up in Canada somewhere, snow geese, something like that. But
Mm.
that's probably my main three. I want to go somewhere out of state, probably public land, hunt a big whitetail. But I definitely probably number one is definitely elk somewhere out west.
That'd be cool for sure. Yeah, the eiders though, that would be a lot of fun. And I'm kind of in the same boat that you were talking earlier. I was very hardcore into waterfowl when I was in my 20s. But for me, what kind of flipped the switch is I realized I don't have that great of a population of ducks
Mm-hmm.
and geese. I mean, the geese are freaking everywhere, anyways. But I didn't really have that good population to really hunt them hard here, and it got me back to my whitetail roots. And I'm like, once I got kind of back into it, it's every day for me. It's 24/7 for me. I mean, I
Yeah.
talk deer hunting every day almost.
Well, if you think about like what you get, like the reward back, 6 ducks, you're going to get 12 pieces of breast meat. That's going to go pretty fast versus a
Oh
buck,
yeah.
or
That's
that's going to
appetizer.
last you. It's going to last you a whole season. So, and it's easy. I mean, it's not necessarily easier, but like it's for me to have a successful deer hunt is easier than to go and have a very successful duck hunt, because if I go and see one doe, that's a success, like for
Mm-hmm.
me. But if I go duck hunting, I'm stuck on I need my 6 ducks or I need my
Oh
4
yeah.
mallards. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like I've leaned more towards, and I've been avid. I'm pretty sure that's how me and Brent like met, was through originally duck hunting, probably chasing ducks. And I've got a really good dog, and that's really, if it wasn't for him, I don't think I would have duck hunted much at all last year. But I did feel guilty for not getting up and
Yeah.
running
Not taking
him.
him.
Yeah, so I take him, and we got on an Arkansas lease this year, and we'll hit that, but it's going to be hard for me to pull off of the deer this year. So
I hope they can
I
get.
think I'll finally switch back over to really wanting the deer stuff.
Oh, just wait till you come here. You're gonna be like, "F those ducks. I want some deer, man."
I know, and that's one reason I went and looked at bows today, is because I was like, well, shit, if I'm gonna buy a license for up there, and you know, I might try to sneak up there. Like if I bought a bow, I could sneak up once for bow and then come back up for muzzleloader or whatever.
Yeah.
And then Brandon's invited us down to Georgia. He owns Desperado, and he's around the Dalton
Mhm.
area. So for me, um, he's an hour 45, 2 hours. I think you're what, 3 from me at Knoxville. I know
Yeah. About 3.
Brett's like 5.
I'm
So
like
you're
5 from
you're right on
Knoxville.
the yeah, you're right on, like you can make it up for a good, 2-day hunt. Um and it not feel like a super long laggy trip, because
Oh
when
yeah.
I got
No. Ever since we drove to North Dakota, man, that was a 24-hour trip
Oh
straight
yeah.
through.
when we
And
went, it was 22 hours, dude, and it was straight and flat, and there's no landmarks that, like, hey, when we
oh no, it's
top
all
this
cornfield.
mountain, it's just it was all like miserable drive. There was exciting. We were all pumped up, but driving back, it felt like it took
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
you
horrible.
36
you didn't
hours.
say any words on the way back, and everybody's one eyeing it because they're tired.
Yeah, everybody was napping, even the driver. So it was one of those things. But it's fun. I know we have decent duck hunting if you know what you're doing around here. Like, it's nothing for us to go and shoot a 2-man with 3 guys. So, but I know in Georgia, you guys, it's wood duck. But I've heard of some people having pretty good luck that down in Georgia. Is it just river bottoms, or are they
Well, it
flooding
really just
stuff?
depends. I mean, you got some places they do flood things. There's a few spots around here you can find on the river, public land spots. You can find good ducks. It really just depends year to year. I mean, I've had spots north of here one year it'll be on fire, and
Yeah.
next year it won't, and the spot south of here will be on fire. It just really depends on the weather, how good of a push of ducks you get. But you can about basically go anywhere on the river and shoot a couple wood ducks. But like I said, ever since I went to North Dakota or Arkansas,
It's hard, isn't it?
it don't really get me going to get up at 3 and
It's
4
it's
o'clock in
hard
the
to go
morning.
somewhere where you see 100,000 birds flying. Now,
Yeah.
99,000 of them may never look at you, but you're seeing them, so you're staying on edge. But I tell you one thing, I know where those deer are going to be at, and that's why I've been hunting deer more. And so it's been nice. But your turkey season, I know we had tried to get you up here time constraints and restrictions. Did you have a pretty good season down there? I know Brett had one hell of a season. Started off strong with the miss, and then 2 seconds later with a confirmed kill.
I didn't even get one this year. I went a few times. I went with some buddies, saw them get some, did some filming for them. But other than that, I had a lot going on with work and some other things, and I just never really got around to getting one this year. But I'm gonna try to focus on a little bit harder next year.
Well,
we'll see.
I'll go ahead and tell you to request off for my opener. Get you up here.
I will. I'll put it in now, so I'll get up there.
The roundup, man, we had an absolute blast.
Oh, I can't wait.
We had so many plans for the roundup, and then it happened. And man, I'll be honest with you, we were literally all just standing there shooting the shit, and 100 yards from us, here comes one strutting in the field, straight out. I mean, it was just couldn't make it up. So next year, we've got a pretty tight knit group of guys going to come back. We're going to do a taco stand.
That'd be awesome.
So we're going to do a little bit bigger this year with a little bit,
Yeah.
We're going to try to keep growing it. There's been some interest, with trying to make it a little bit bigger. And me and Brett, we're going to try to do this velvet buck thing. I'm going to get him down for that. We're going to try to shoot some pretty cool stuff for that. And then I'll probably try to do like some sort of, like a duck day of December where maybe we can all get together and go shoot ducks or something like that. And like, just try to build these events almost like each year. Like everybody's like, I wonder what these guys are going to do for this year. Cause that last year they did this and it was really cool. Let's see what they step it up for this year. So, the roundup was an out of pocket thing. Me and Brett just kind of came up with last minute, and it was kind of based off of one turkey that I had that gave us the slip, and he lived up to it because he got both of us. So, but yeah, man, with the Trail 27 thing, I think that'll be cool as far as like your little girl, and I can relate to that as far as getting out there. And my little one probably wasted $20 worth of seed because I was like, now make sure you spread it out real good. And I went over and she's like, look, I made it into a nest. And I was like, that's not what we want, but I'll take it. So it's cool, man. And I think, as far as you're not that far from me, so I think we can pump out some good stuff and
I'll get up there
and good hunts and
get some stuff going. So.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time out of your day to hop on here with us, man. Tell everybody where they can find you and where they can find Trail 27.
You can find both me and Trail 27. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok at Trail 27 Media or at Brent Coppock, either one. Like I said, appreciate y'all inviting me on here. Had a fun time. Maybe one day down the road we'll do it again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when if you get a buck down or get some stories during season, we'll have you on. We'll definitely be behind the mic more, I think, come fall, because we're gonna have a lot more to talk about. It's kind of tougher in these summer months. We can only talk about it so much, and then it just kind of gets monotonous, But we're definitely going to be back behind the mic here soon. We're going to try to pump out as many of these as we can and have fun with it. But appreciate you coming on, man. And
yes, sir. Thank y'all.
Yeah, thank you. And we'll see everybody back here again for episode 85, getting closer to 100. See you.